Hello, beautiful beings. Welcome to Soul Shift Messages. If you found your way here, trust there's something in this message for you. Understand this space is about growth, truth, and transformation. We don't bypass here, we don't sugarcoat, and not every message will feel comfortable, but it will be honest. I speak in flow, and sometimes that includes cussing. It's just part of how the messages come through. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't, and trust your own discernment above all else. Take a deep breath, and let's begin. If you are new here at this time, please know that I create weekly content focusing on a particular topic in 3 parts. Part 1 focuses on what needs to be revealed. Part 2 focuses on what needs to be understood. And part 3 focuses on what needs to be done. What changes do we need to make to embody the changes that we've been discussing this week? So I say all of that to say this is going to be part 1 of this week's topic. And this week's topic is intimacy. Depending on when you find this video, you will see all available links to content in the description box below. If links aren't available, you'll see when to expect them, and I am pretty diligent about going back in and making the links available as they are. So if it's not there yet, just know it's coming. I need a little bit more time. All right, so let's dive into this message. And I am calling this one, quite simply, the truth about intimacy. All right. Intimacy is not primarily about relationships. It is about reality. It is about truth. It's about becoming fully known, fully present, and fully alive in a relationship with another person without abandoning yourself, controlling the other person, hiding behind roles, or retreating into fantasy. Most people think intimacy is about becoming close to another person. What's being revealed here is that intimacy is equally about becoming closer to yourself. It is a process through which hidden parts of you become visible, accepted, integrated, and brought into conscious awareness. Intimacy is not something you achieve. It is something you allow. It is not a destination. It is a lifelong developmental process, and ultimately, it is a path toward wholeness. Intimacy is a practice of reality. One of the deepest revelations is intimacy may have less to do with love than most people assume. Many people can love without being truly intimate. People can love while hiding, love while performing, love while idealizing, love while projecting, love while controlling, and love while avoiding vulnerability. Love alone does not create intimacy. Intimacy grows in direct proportion to reality. The more reality enters a relationship, the deeper intimacy becomes available. Reality means seeing yourself honestly, seeing another person honestly, seeing the relationship honestly, and accepting what exists instead of what you wish existed. The less reality is tolerated, the more intimacy is replaced by fantasy, attachment, projection, performance, or dependency. At its core, intimacy is a truth practice. Not truth as facts, truth as reality. Seeing what is in front of you clearly and accepting it for what it is. All right? Intimacy is a developmental journey. Many people think intimacy is a feeling. Intimacy is actually a developmental process. People often move through stages. At first, there may be attraction, possibility, fantasy, hope, and imagination. Then comes emotional bonding and care. Then sacrifice, devotion, commitment, and service. Eventually, a deeper challenge emerges. Can two people remain fully themselves while staying connected? Can they remain honest without withdrawing? Can they maintain individuality without creating distance? Can they communicate authentically without controlling outcomes? This is where mature intimacy begins. The message is intimacy matures as individuality matures. The stronger and more integrated your sense of self becomes, the deeper intimacy becomes possible. This is about standing in yourself, your true, authentic self, and honoring another person standing in their true, authentic self and accepting them for who they are, as they are. All right? They also want me to remind you it's easy to hear the word intimacy and just think romantic love, and they are saying think bigger. Think bigger. They're saying intimacy can be community, family, friends, all right? I don't know who needs to hear this, but it's coming through, so I'm going to honor that. They're saying sex is not intimacy. It's an intimate act. It can help bring two people feel closer, but they're just saying they want you to broaden your perspective. That's the way I'll put it. They want you to broaden your perspective on intimacy. Sex can be part of intimacy, but sex in and of itself is not intimacy. Intimacy is far broader than that. And they're just encouraging you to, again, broaden your perspective, open your mindset on that. That's significant for someone, okay? Intimacy is not about losing yourself. Many people unconsciously believe closeness requires some loss of self. They fear losing freedom, independence, identity, control, and personal sovereignty. Babies, they just want me to be very, very clear. Genuine, unconditionally loving relationships would never ask you to give up any of these. I'm hearing willingly or unwillingly. So if they're basically saying if you're in a relationship and you feel like you have lost these things, that it's an invitation to take a look at that relationship. All right. Some of you have heard me say on, I think I'm going to leave that. I think I'm going to leave that there. But they're just saying anything that is unconditionally loving and genuine and authentic would never, like, these fears would be misguided. Like, they would never ask you or threaten these things. So if you're in a relationship and you are feeling that way, they want you to really take a step back and just take a look at it. Okay? That's your invitation. All right? This creates an invisible conflict. Part of the self wants connection, and another part wants protection. The deeper truth is healthy intimacy does not require self-abandonment. All right? You are not meant to disappear into another person. You are not meant to become dependent on another person for identity, meaning, or completion. All right? We've been discussing that at length on this channel. If you are new here, feel free to take a look at my playlist. I have covered codependency. I have covered self-abandonment. I have covered the abandonment wound. I have even covered energetic enmeshment with others, which is where you basically disappear into another person energetically. You become enmeshed with them, entangled. So there are resources on this channel if you are interested and if some of these things are resonating with you. Okay, I'm not going to go into them at length. I'm just going to let you know that they're there, and I'm going to let you do whatever you want to or don't want to do with that. Okay? The deepest intimacy occurs when two whole individuals remain distinct and choose connection anyway. All right? Some of you may recognize that as energetic sovereignty. It can also be emotional sovereignty. Again, it's when you don't enmesh, you both stay in your wholeness and you share that space. You create a space where you both can coexist exactly how you are. All right? Again, not fusion, not possession, not dependency, not control, choice, again and again and again. The difference between being loved and being needed. Many people learn to create connection through roles. Examples include caregiver, protector, provider, healer, teacher, rescuer, mediator, peacemaker, and helper. These roles can create closeness, but they do not necessarily create intimacy. A deeper question emerges. If you stopped performing your role, would you still feel lovable? If you stopped fixing problems, would you still feel valuable? If you stopped managing everyone else's needs, would you still feel connected? This message repeatedly distinguishes between being needed and being loved, being useful and being known, being admired and being understood, and being appreciated and being truly seen. Real intimacy begins when performance ends. You cannot have true, genuine, healthy intimacy if you are fulfilling these roles. These roles may not be authentic to who you are. It's just what you've done for so long. All right? And I'm hearing some of you know exactly what I'm talking about. Some of you know you've been fulfilling roles. I'm hearing wearing hats that you know are no longer who you are. That's performance, babies. All right? So again, they want me to say it one more time. Real intimacy begins when performance ends. And they're saying there are no exceptions. Who are you without your roles? A deeper layer beneath the discussion of roles concerns identity itself. Many people unconsciously organize their identity around strength, competence, service, success, leadership, wisdom, caretaking, and usefulness. These identities often provide safety. They create purpose, value, and certainty. But intimacy eventually reaches places where identity cannot protect you. You cannot achieve your way into intimacy. You cannot perform your way into intimacy. You cannot lead your way into intimacy. And you cannot heal your way into intimacy. At some point, intimacy asks a simple but profound question. Who are you when you are not being anyone? Who remains beneath the role? Who remains beneath the image? Who remains beneath the function? This question appears to sit near the center of everything. You take away all the roles, babies. Who are you? Okay? Until you really get to that, you will have some level of intimacy, but they're just saying you have to really embrace who you truly are and lay anything that doesn't fit that down in order to have true, genuine, authentic intimacy. I'll get into that more a little bit later, all right? Intimacy requires moving beyond fantasy. Many people carry unconscious ideas about what intimacy should look like. Examples include perfect understanding, constant closeness, complete emotional merging, permanent harmony, effortless communication, soul level certainty, and never feeling misunderstood. These desires are not the problem. The problem is when fantasy replaces reality. Real intimacy includes differences, frustration, boundaries, misunderstandings, imperfect communication, periods of emotional distance, conflict, and repair. The message is clear. You cannot be intimate with the idea of someone. You can only be intimate with who they actually are. Likewise, another person cannot be intimate with an image of you. They can only be intimate with the real you. All right, I go into this more in depth in the series that I did on love. okay, where we talk about projection and things of that sort. So you can also look at that as well if you're interested in learning more. Ordinary intimacy is sacred. There is also a subtle challenge to the pursuit of extraordinary intimacy. Many people unconsciously seek destined relationships, profound certainty, transcendent connection, and extraordinary emotional experiences. Yet something important is being revealed. Ordinary intimacy matters, perhaps even more. Ordinary intimacy looks like showing up consistently, sharing daily life, being known in mundane moments, staying present over time, allowing imperfection, and building trust slowly. Deep intimacy often grows through ordinary reality rather than dramatic emotional highs. The hidden strategy of self-protection. A recurring theme is emotional self-protection. This does not necessarily mean deception. More often, it appears as revealing only certain parts of yourself, hiding vulnerable feelings, staying mentally ahead of situations, managing impressions, maintaining emotional escape routes, maintaining emotional escape routes, and remaining partially hidden. Underneath these behaviors may be a belief of, if I reveal everything, I may lose something important. That something may be safety, freedom, control, acceptance, respect, and belonging. The message is not that boundaries are wrong. The message is that hiding and boundaries are not the same thing. Intimacy requires learning the difference. They want me to connect the last section with this. So, all right, so this is why ordinary intimacy is really important. Yeah, is sacred because it's in those ordinary moments. They're saying you don't tend to perform, right? You're really just being who you truly are. And if you are just trusting the process and letting things build in those ordinary moments, it's really the foundation you need, because they want me to be clear with that last section. They're not talking about put everything out there all at once. That's not what they're saying, right? It's important to get to know people, to understand, what level you want to share with them, right? Um, and really creating that environment of safety, feeling safe enough to share these aspects of yourself. And so it's really just about, again, letting things flow, really trusting the process, allowing these things to move forward at the pace that they want to, and not having to push it. But again, they're just saying if you are hiding, there is a difference between hiding aspects of yourself and slowly allowing someone to know you better over time. Like, that's really what they're saying. All right. And again, because, if you bypass, those ordinary moments and building that trust and having those mundane moments with one another. They're just saying how do you actually formulate genuine intimacy? Intimacy involves understanding who the other person is, right? What the relationship is, looking at it with clear perception. Again, if you are so focused on protecting yourself, it's just not conducive to fostering and building and creating that type of environment with another person. I mean, think about it. If you're protected, it's already unbalanced. Can you think about if the other person is equally or more self-protected? How does anything genuine get built out of that? We're going deep with this. That's what it feels like. All right. But that's what they want you to keep in mind. Again, they're not saying put everything out there at once. I'm hearing let people earn the right to know you. But at some point, again, depending on how you feel about a person, how that relationship is evolving, again, this can be friendship. Again, this isn't just romantic love, but they're just saying like at some point, if you want genuine, authentic intimacy, you have to stop hiding. You can't have it both ways, okay? The mind may be standing between you and intimacy. The primary obstacle may not be emotional. It may be mental. There may be a tendency to analyze instead of feel, interpret instead of experience, anticipate instead of receive, and think about intimacy instead of entering it. And they're saying, and you do have to enter it. They're saying you should enter it consciously. All right? The mind often tries to create safety through understanding. This is understandable, but intimacy cannot be solved. It must be lived. One of the deepest messages is your ideas about intimacy may currently be more influential than your actual experience of intimacy. Growth involves allowing reality to challenge old assumptions. Again, I've gotten this message in past ones, in past series that I've done, but it's going to be very important moving forward for your growth to remain flexible. Change your mind, change it again. When reality gives you new information, sit with it, think about it, all right? And this could be with people, places, and things. Rigidity could easily keep people stagnant. And that's why they keep bringing it up. It's a choice. You have a choice. You can stay where you are. That is fine. But if you do want growth, you have to be open-minded. Say it again. Growth involves allowing reality to challenge old assumptions. All right? Intimacy is not validation. Many people seek validation when what they truly desire is intimacy. Validation asks, do you approve of me? Intimacy asks, do you know me? Approval encourages performance. People present the version of themselves most likely to be accepted. As a result, they may receive admiration while remaining unseen. Babies, I just heard some of you felt that in your chest. And if you did feel that in your chest, that is your guides asking you to look at that further. All right? They're saying there's something there, and you know. I'm hearing it's something you've been running from. They're saying this is your invitation. All right? It's your invitation to look at it and decide what you want to do with that. Okay? Connection based on approval feels fragile because it depends on maintaining an image. Connection based on authenticity feels stronger because it is rooted in reality. Images are something you have to maintain, you have to perform. And I'm hearing some of you are really tired of performing. And if you feel that way, they want you to know it starts with you. It starts with you. You can put pieces down as you feel called to. They're just saying you don't have to keep doing that. Okay? They're really emphasizing choice. This series is going to be about choices. All right? Exposure and intimacy are not the same thing. This is an important distinction. Many people believe vulnerability automatically creates intimacy. It does not. Exposure means I revealed something. Intimacy means it was received. A person can reveal deeply personal information and still not experience intimacy. They want me to say it again and emphasize. Intimacy means it was received. All right? They're emphasizing that because some of you are in relationships where you realize that you are trying to create intimacy with someone who what it feels like, I'll honor what I feel. It feels like you are trying to create intimacy with someone who you are starting to realize may not be as capable as you are. For some of you, you're really starting to pick up on the imbalance you have in certain relationships. And again, this isn't just romantic, it could be. Trust your discernment, but this could even be friendships. I don't know, it feels like some of you, as you are getting clearer perception, you're starting to realize, again, and it's not saying there's anything wrong with these people, it just feels like you are seeing them and accepting them as they are. And some of you are trying to figure out, does this person fit in my life or do they not? And again, they're saying that's just part of growth. Again, it's not about saying there's anything wrong with these people. It's just you're recognizing what they are capable of. And in some cases, you're recognizing what they're actually willing to do, right? People can be capable and still choose not to do certain things. So again, they're just saying this is information they just want you to use. Be mindful of it. See it, think about it, and when you're ready, make a decision. And they're not saying you have to necessarily cut everyone off, but they're like, just make adjustments, right? If you recognize there's imbalance, maybe you start pulling back your energy a little bit, all right? They want you to trust to know, they really want you to trust yourself. And they're saying you can start small. Your reality will give. Oh, this is interesting. All right, so we are. Alrighty, here we go. If this is resonating with you, we are getting to a point, they're saying you're going to start getting faster feedback in your reality. And what do I mean by that is if you start small and you make smaller adjustments, you'll get faster feedback in your reality. Now, what do I mean by that? So let me give you an example. Let's say you've got a friend and you realize, you've been pouring more into this than you've been receiving from them. So you just decide that, I'm going to pull my energy back a little bit. Maybe I don't hang out with this person as much. Maybe I don't talk to them as much. Maybe I don't fully support them the way that I did before. If you actually make that decision and you back it up with action, some of you are going to see changes in your friend's behavior. And they're just saying changes. I don't want to say good. I don't want to say bad because I don't want to put that out there for anyone, but they're saying just watch what people do, right? If you're making these changes, just watch how people react. I'm hearing people are gonna show you. Like they're gonna show you, People who tend to have your best interest at heart will honor your boundaries without hassle. Doesn't mean everyone will, but for the most part, that's usually a good indicator if people genuinely honor your boundaries. But they just want you to keep an eye out for faster feedback in your reality moving forward, especially if you are trying to make some of these changes. And I'm hearing your guides, your ancestors are doing that on purpose. They want you to get that faster feedback. That's going to be them actively supporting you in this process. Okay? So intimacy requires, and they want me to say it again, requires. Intimacy requires openness, reception, understanding, and mutual engagement. Intimacy is not merely self-disclosure. It is living exchange. I'm hearing look at the exchanges in your relationships. They will tell you a lot. Intimacy requires the integration of opposites. Many people approach relationships through either or thinking. Examples: either I am independent or connected. Either I am vulnerable or protected. Either I care for myself or care for others. And either I have boundaries or I am loving. The deeper truth is both and. You can be vulnerable and boundaried, strong and open, independent and attached, loving and self-respecting, and self-protective and emotionally available. Intimacy develops through integration, not choosing sides. If you've been here for a little bit, you'll know that in a lot of my more recent messages, we've been talking about binary thinking, polar integration, polar harmonics, going to neutral. Again, it's not about swinging back and forth between these extremes. It is integrating them and balancing that out. That's really what we are moving toward. And they're actually saying that is what you need in place to genuinely have this flexibility. It needs to move beyond this intellectual space. You need to energetically embody this. That's funny. They said I was really on my shit when I talked about how this is going to be a theme that is not going away. They're like, it is absolutely not. Why? Because if you want to make these changes in your life, they're just saying this is required. You have to do this. All right? And again, for a lot of you, they're just saying you just have to make the intention, right? Use your command statements, right? You can even say, I am strong and open. Like, set your intentions. All right? If you want to get really simple with it, you can say that, I embody healthy intimacy, genuine intimacy, however you want to frame it, right? Again, set the intentions, set things in motion, all right? They're saying you're more powerful than you think. But again, they're saying if you want this, start doing this, start making changes. That's going to be the purpose of this series this is what needs to be revealed. We'll go through what needs to be understood, and then we'll tackle in part 3 what steps you need to take to actually embody this energy. Okay? Compassion and boundaries must exist together. Again, polarities, extremes, right? They have to coexist. Healthy intimacy requires both. Compassion means listening, understanding, receiving, witnessing, and caring. Boundaries mean honesty, self-respect, identity, accountability, and clarity. Compassion without boundaries becomes self-abandonment. Boundaries without compassion become isolation. Healthy intimacy requires both at the same time. They want me to say these last 3 again. Someone needs to hear it again. Compassion without boundaries becomes self-abandonment. And they're saying that's not up for debate. They're saying you may not like it, but they're just saying it's the truth. And if you don't like it, they said that's your indicator to really take a look at what about that is not sitting right with you. Where is that coming from? Okay? Boundaries without compassion become isolation. All right? Healthy intimacy requires both at the same time. All right, let's keep it moving. Receiving is as important as giving. Many people feel safest when giving. Giving creates control. Receiving requires vulnerability. Receiving means allowing yourself to need, be supported, be helped, be affected, and be cared for. Sometimes intimacy grows less through what you give and more through what you allow yourself to receive. And babies, they're saying healthy relationships moving forward is going to be balancing giving and receiving. That's why they want you to look at the exchanges in your relationships. If you are giving more than you are receiving, there is imbalance. And they're saying where there is imbalance, it is challenging to find healthy relationships there. This goes back to the roles. Some of you are going to realize that you are really in a savior role. But when you need help, are these same people there for you? There's something about exchanges that's significant for someone. They said multiple people, all right? If that's for you, you felt it in your foot. Don't ask me what that means, but you felt it in your foot. Look at the exchanges in your relationships, and they want you to go broad fucking spectrum. I'm hearing family, friends, partners, co-workers. Like, I'm hearing run the audit. That's significant for someone. Okay? Conflict is not the opposite of intimacy. Many people assume intimacy is harmony. The deeper message challenges this idea. Conflict is not necessarily a failure of intimacy. Often it is a part of intimacy. The important questions are, can connection survive disagreement? Can affection survive disappointment? Can honesty survive conflict? Can people repair after rupture? Intimacy is often built through repair rather than through avoiding conflict. All right? Anytime you have more than one person involved in a situation, conflict is more likely than not to come up. Again, we talked about this in the love series. It's what happens after that takes place that really determines things. All right? I don't know why, but they really want me to emphasize, can people repair after rupture? This is going back to the self-abandonment. They're saying when there is rupture and there is a disagreement, they said if it is a healthy love, if it is healthy intimacy, both people should be willing, I don't know why I'm hearing it put this way, but should be willing to come to the table, sit down, and both be working at it. They're saying if you are the person who always ends up giving and the other person doesn't do anything on their end, again, that is imbalance. For some, they're saying that is bleeding into, I don't know why I use that word. That is not what I would have used. That's significant for someone. They're saying it's bleeding into self-abandonment territory. They want you to look at that too. We are really drilling into relationships, all relationships in our lives. Okay? Communication creates intimacy. Intimacy depends on more than feelings. It depends on communication. specifically the ability to make your inner world understandable. This means learning how to communicate what hurts, what matters, what you need, what you fear, and what you hope for. Without manipulation, without performance, without blame, and without control. Vulnerability becomes intimacy when it can be shared and understood. All right? Intimacy exists when it is capable of being received. It's not just you sharing. The other person has to be able to receive it. Intimacy teaches us about power. Healthy intimacy transforms power, not power over another person, power over oneself. This includes self-awareness, accountability, integrity, emotional regulation, and responsibility. The more secure you become in your own power, the less you need control over others. And the less control you need, the more intimacy becomes possible. Say it again and then give the download. The more secure you become in your own power, the less you need control over others. And the less control you need, the more intimacy becomes possible. All right, so the download is, I'm just going to say it, babies. I'm not being given a more gentle way to put it. Some of you are really going to have some rose-colored glasses. I'm hearing snatched off your face. I don't know when. That's going to be highly individualized, but some of you are just gonna, I'm hearing the word insecure. Some of you are just going to see how insecure and fragile certain people are. And this could be romantic relationships, because I'm just hearing this is going to turn you the fuck off. I don't know why it's coming through like that. Some of you could resonate with it gives you the ick. Gives you the ick. I don't know. It just, right? Because you're just, how this connects is it's like you're just going to see just how controlling someone is and like how rigid they are and how like, again, it feels like your growth is triggering this person, and instead of choosing to grow with you, they're actually going to lean more into rigidity and try to like keep you where you are, you know, and like almost like kind of fight you to stay where you are. And that's going to be what really opens your eyes, is you're just going to realize like this person needs control to feel safe, right? They're not secure in their own power. Damn, some of you are gonna really realize like you're growing, and you're just gonna realize who is really stuck in lack, right? Because if you were fulfilled and you were secured in who you were, you wouldn't need to control people like this. Some of you, as you keep growing, you are going to get more secure in who you are, who you authentically are. And it is going to, without you even meaning to, this doesn't feel intentional on your end. Your growth is just going to start reflecting to everyone else where they're not growing, where they're stagnating. And instead of choosing to grow with you, they're gonna try to hold you back. And for some of you, you're just gonna be like, absolutely not. That's not gonna be for everyone, but that's coming through for a reason. As you become more secure in your own power, you will not feel the need to control these people as much as you had. And that is going to be what reveals the level of imbalance. You're going to actually see that for yourself. And that in turn is going to allow you to see these people for who they truly are. And for some of you, I'm hearing this is more for romantic relationships as you try to move toward more genuine intimacy, like I'm discussing here. It's going to show you how your partner cannot meet you there. And again, they're saying it's not a bad person. See them clearly for who they are, what they are capable of, and what they are willing to do. Relationships are mirrors. All right, back to this. All right. Shit. Sorry, the next section is, I'm not joking. I don't know if you can see it, but boop, boop. Relationships are mirrors. I really do be on the shit sometimes. I will toot my own horn. Toot, toot. All right, yeah, shit. Relationships are mirrors. One of intimacy's greatest purposes is self-discovery. Relationships reveal hidden fears, unmet needs, longings, expectations, defenses, blind spots, and strengths. This is why intimacy can feel both beautiful and uncomfortable. The relationship becomes a mirror, not because the other person defines you, but because closeness reveals parts of yourself that cannot be discovered alone. Some of you have gone into, I'm not going to lie, this is for my single people specifically. I feel that strongly. There are some of us who have really, I don't want to say isolation. I prefer hermit mode. That may not resonate with everyone. You could be into tarot. You might not be. Hermit mode. Some of you may have just gone within. You know, you just kind of pulled back. You kind of went back into your own world. You just started focusing on yourself and really started doing that healing journey. And they want to be very clear. This is not a critique because I'm hearing you've done beautifully. Beautifully. Like, they need you to know that you have done beautifully. You have grown, you have bloomed, and they're saying, you know, some of you you're getting to a point where you have to get back out there. You have to get back out there with the people because you have, basically you're at a point where you're ready to graduate, right? You've done what you can do on your own. You have to get to a point where you get back out there with the people and you start interacting with them and you start having these experiences and you get that fast feedback in your reality. Some of us who have been single for a long time, I'm hearing particularly if you've been doing this healing work, you are gonna start dating again. Yeah, that was for me too. All right. Why? Because again, you've kind of taken it as far as you can. They're bringing in new people so that you can continue to learn and grow. And they need you to really open yourself up to that possibility. Now, again, that could be, and for, again, I'm hearing if for my single people, you're gonna date again. Um, you don't have to, but that's the intention, you know? And again, if you're like, I'm completely done with dating, all right, then again, friends, new people. Why? Because again, you need, you've really taken it as far as you can on your own. It's time to start interacting with others, right? Because they're just saying you have more control when it's just you, especially if you are dealing with people right now who are people you know you've outgrown, right? You're kind of keeping them, you know, at bay to the extent that you can. And they're saying that's fine. They want you to honor your boundaries, honor what you feel. But at the same time, you need to open yourself up to closeness again. Some of you do really want this. Some of you are not sure if you want this. And they're saying the only way to know is to give it a try. So that's why they want you to understand closeness reveals parts of yourself that cannot be discovered alone. And they, oh, shit. I'm gonna be honest, this is for me too, and I know it is. All right. So I'm saying that to let you know I'm in this boat. Um, some of us who've been doing this healing, you may feel like you're more prepared for relationships than you actually may be. So they want you to, you know, they're saying don't freak out. Take your time with meeting new people because we've had to be defensive for our reasons. And they're just saying carrying that forward with you is not going to be conducive to these new relationships. Remain flexible, remain open-minded. Just be, I'm here just, oh my gosh, why am I hearing this? Oh my gosh. Guys, if you're getting back out there dating, don't be picking your date apart. I'm hearing shit like, I don't like the way he chews. It's the first date. It's the first date. All right? Be open-minded. They're really saying this is a warning to not self-sabotage. All right? Give people a chance. Be patient. Some of you need to date someone who is not your actual type. All right? You need to be open to new experiences, even if it's unfamiliar, even if you're not sure you're going to like it. You need to open yourself back up to that. All right? Because a lot of you have healed. They're saying your type was really your pattern, and you have broken that pattern. That's why you need to be open-minded to dating someone who is not your type. All right? And I got news, and when I say your pattern, I'm not talking about physical appearance. I'm not. Look at emotional availability, maturity levels, things of that sort. It's not what you see. How did they act? How did they treat you? That kind of stuff. Be open-minded. Again, stay flexible. Stay away from rigidity. And again, do not critique the shit out of your date. All right, first dates are awkward as shit. When I go on a first date, my thought is typically, you know what, let's just try to get through this and be as minimally awkward as I possibly can be, which, let's be honest, is not always that easy. All right? Don't be tearing them up. Give them a chance. All right? Okay. Mutuality matters more than compatibility. Many people focus heavily on compatibility. The deeper message is intimacy is not something compatible people possess. It is something people create together. And I'm hearing, and you absolutely need participation from both people. Both have to want this. Both have to be capable of creating it and sustaining it. That's why the ordinary intimacy is sacred. If you're waiting for the grandiose things to come through, they're just saying that's not conducive to maintaining intimacy. If you embrace ordinary intimacy as sacred, they're saying this becomes very easy. But again, you need both people committed to it. Babies, this just feels like finding beauty and closeness in the everyday things. I mean, they're literally just saying, like, this could be like you know, people running errands together, making a meal. I'm seeing two people laying in bed having pillow talk, you know, close, not touching, but like they're just chatting and they're smiling. You know what I mean? It's stuff like that, right? Seeing your partner, you know, seeing a friend, seeing a partner doing something, offering to help, right? Like those are intimate moments. All right. The important questions are, how do we affect each other? What emerges between us? What do we build together? Intimacy grows through mutual influence, reciprocity, and shared vulnerability. Intimacy requires courage. Much has been said about vulnerability. The deeper quality may actually be courage. The courage to remain present, be misunderstood, reveal needs, hear difficult truths, stay during discomfort, let reality replace fantasy. Allow yourself to matter and allow another person to matter. Intimacy requires emotional bravery. Stand in your truth. I'm hearing stand in your truth and see where others can meet you or not. Intimacy requires surrender, not surrender of self, not surrender of boundaries, not surrender to another person, a different surrender. The surrender of control over outcomes. Many people try to manage intimacy by predicting outcomes, eliminating uncertainty, preventing pain, securing permanence, and guaranteeing safety. But intimacy contains unavoidable uncertainty. The other person remains free. The future remains unknown. People change. Feelings evolve. This is normal. They're saying this is unavoidable, genuinely. Nothing can guarantee permanence. The invitation is to release the illusion that uncertainty can be eliminated. Intimacy is ultimately about trust. this is another topic we've already covered on this channel. There is a trust playlist. Beneath many fears lies a deeper issue, trust. Not necessarily trust in another person, trust in life itself. We go deep into that in that trust series that I did. All right. Can you love without guarantees? Can you connect without certainty? Can you stay open without knowing the outcome? Can you care without controlling? Many intimacy struggles are actually struggles with uncertainty, and uncertainty ultimately asks for trust. The deepest fear may be being fully seen. Underneath fears of vulnerability, dependence, rejection, and uncertainty may exist one fundamental fear. What happens if someone truly sees me? Not the successful self, not the strong self, not the useful self, not the spiritual self, not the healed self, the actual self. I don't know why, but I'm hearing strip it down. The fear may ask, will I still be loved? Will I still belong? Will I still matter? Will I still be chosen? Intimacy ultimately becomes an encounter with visibility. Not visibility of achievement, visibility of being. Intimacy is a path toward wholeness. The deepest message of all is intimacy is not simply about connection. It is about becoming whole. It invites every part of yourself into awareness, the part that dreams, nurtures, gives, protects, fears, longs, communicates, stands alone, and the part that wants to belong. None of these parts are meant to dominate. Each contributes something necessary. The final lesson is this: intimacy is not about becoming less of yourself. It is about becoming so fully yourself that hiding is no longer necessary. It is about becoming so accepting of another person's humanity that they no longer need to hide either. When that happens, intimacy stops being a search for completion. It stops being an attempt to fill a lack. It becomes the meeting of two whole beings who are willing to share reality, tell the truth, remain present, and grow together. In that space, intimacy is no longer something you achieve. It is something you allow. All right, that is all I had. And they're saying end it there. So I'm going to honor that. If this message resonated with you, I'll be back later this week with parts 2 and 3. And honor your pace with that, right? There was a lot to digest with this. So if you're not quite ready, Just know the content, I don't ever delete it, so it will be there if or when you decide you're ready. Also, I'll update the links below as that stuff becomes available. So, yeah, I think I'm just going to wrap it up there. So, take care of yourselves, beautiful beings, and until next time, bye.